Myself, Dr. Hanuman Prasad. I am working as an assistant professor in the Department of Chemistry at IARE. Today, I am going to discuss the continuation of first lesson in Caste, which I have delivered in the last session. So, this is the continuation of last session. The contents in this session are self-motivation of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, problem faced by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, continuation of education by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, facilitation of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, his graduation, his post-graduation, and his return to London, and his doctorate course, and finally his self-employment. Let's see one by one. The first content is self-motivation of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So, in the previous session, I ended with how he dropped his idea to go to Mumbai and work as an employee in mill. So, he tried to steal purse from his aunt, but he could not get it. But after trying for 3 days, the 4th day he got it, but there was no enough money for his train fare. So there was only half an anna, which is not at all enough. So he decided that it was not a good idea to steal money and struggle there. So after going there also, he needs a lot of money to survive there. So he gave up that idea. So he started thinking about studies. So from that day, he gave up his drowned habits, means that kind of not giving importance to education. So that kind of habits he has given up and dedicated himself to studies. This self-motivation proved to be a life-changing event, not only for the boy is Bhim, but also for the nation. Why for the nation? Because he started focusing on education and ultimately he has written the Constitution of India. So without him there was no constitution. So the Constitution of India credit goes to solely Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. That is why life-changing event not only for him but also for the nation. So this event is due to his self-motivation. So in 1904 year, his family moved from Satara to Bombay. Bhim and his brother were admitted to Elphinstone School. So previously they were studying in Satara, right? So since they moved to Bombay, now they changed the school also, named Elphinstone School. So there they have taken the admission, Bhim and his brother. Now, wherever they go, they were considered untouchable. They belong to Mahar caste, right? Mahar. So, as I have discussed in the previous session, Mahar means great enemy. Maha plus Ari. Maha means great, Ari means enemy, great enemy. And as usual, they faced caste prejudice in the new school also. And they were not allowed to take Sanskrit as a second language because the Brahmin Sanskrit teacher would not teach the language of Vedas to Shudras. So he is one of the Shudras caste. So the Brahmin teacher at the time they were not that much matured. So they were fully bound to caste. So based on that they did not teach Sanskrit as a second language to him. Only the reason is they have the boundaries. So because of immaturity. So now all the boundaries have opened up. Now everybody can read whatever they want. So this is the change in gender sensitization. Okay, so what Bhim did in order to learn Sanskrit? Let's see. Much against their wishes, they had to take Persian as their second language because they were not allowed to teach Sanskrit. So later, Bhim studied Sanskrit to gain first-hand knowledge of Vedas and Hindu scriptures. So he studied himself. Bhim and his brother studied themselves and got enough first-hand knowledge in Sanskrit. But nobody taught them. So they learned themselves. He described Sanskrit as a treasure house of literature and grammar, and it is much superior to Persian language. So that is what he has described. Sanskrit as a treasure house of literature and grammar, and it is much superior to Persian language. In school, one of the teachers kept pestering Bhim. So what is the meaning of pestering? So keep on changing, keep on telling to leave the school. So keep on one kind of torturing. Pest means what? Pest means one kind of worms that spoil the place. So that kind of thinking was in his teacher's mind. So what he did, he kept pestering Bhim to leave the school. Because in his opinion, in his teacher's opinion, it was useless for an untouchable to get educated. So they always think that untouchable should not be educated, they should be always in low level. So that was the mindset of the teachers at that time. It was due to lack of awareness only, completely. So because of that thought, the teacher kept pestering him to leave the school. And exasperated by the constant harangues of the teacher. So exasperated means frustrated by the constant harangues. Harangues means constant lectures. Keep on saying that you have to leave the school, like that, repeatedly saying. So it is one kind of boring kind of saying, which is not useful. And by getting frustrated by her constant harangues, by his constant harangues, one day Bhim angrily asked the teacher to mind his own business. So what Bhim said? So don't involve in other things. So you look into your business. You look into whatever you are opt for, whatever you are meant for in that school or in that college. So from that time onwards, he stopped pestering Bhim. And he continued the education later. When the brothers reached secondary school, means 10th standard, the meager pension of Ramji Sakpal was not enough to pay the fees for both of them, for both Bhim and his brother. So meager pension means it is very less amount of pension which was obtained by Ramji Sakpal at that time, olden times. So it was not enough to pay the fees for both of them. So Bhim's elder brother, his name was Anand Rao, had to leave the school because of this situation, so that his more promising younger sibling could continue his education. Because compared to Anand Rao and Bhim is much more interested and much more focused on education. So Anand Rao had taken a decision to leave the school because of his father's meager pension, very less amount of pension. So he took a decision to leave the school and to continue the education of Bhim. And Bhim acquired a very keen interest in reading books other than those prescribed by the school curriculum. So he is not strict to the books which were suggested by the school curriculum. He was interested in many other books because he knows that knowledge is not limited. Knowledge is broad. So he keeps on studying variety of books wherever he was interested. So he used to bring second-hand books wherever he goes, and he used to read them. He used to maintain a mini library which has almost 70,000 books, which I have discussed in the last session. And this broadened his horizon, means his scope of knowledge, but affected his school performance, because most of the time he is studying the books which were suggested other than in the school curriculum. So what happened? His knowledge was broadened, but his school performance got low because he always used to study other books. Those are also knowledgeful but not related to his study. But those are much more useful. So that is why his interest has gone to them, and he kept reading those books by leaving the limited school curriculum books. So that is why his school performance was affected. But in this case, Bhim's father was very supportive. So Bhim's father would reluctantly give him money to buy these books, sometimes borrowing money from his married daughters, and at times even pawning their jewelry. So sometimes if Bhim wanted books, if his father doesn't have money, what he used to do, he used to borrow from his married daughters. If they don't have money, he used to deposit their jewelry for safe deposit and taking money. So after some time, they will return the money and then they will take back their jewelry. So he used to do that kind of things also for getting books for the Bhim. So that much he supporting Bhim. So really Bhim's father was very great at that time. So he understood Bhim's interests, and whatever he asked, he never relucted. He always used to give him money, whatever he want for buying the books, by facing all these kind of situations. So that is how Bhim continued the education. And facilitation of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So finally what happened? Bhim passed matriculation in 1907. Matriculation means 10th standard at that time. Though he could score only 282 marks out of 750, this was a great achievement for an untouchable. So untouchable people very rarely study. They rarely go to the schools because they were not treated properly. In that situation also, Bhim struggled like anything, and he scored 282 marks out of 750. And it was the great achievement for them. A rare matriculate amongst them was also a matter of pride for the Mahar community. So he was considered as a rare matriculate. As I said, so since they were treated untouchable caste, so they rarely go to schools. In that situation, he passed matriculation. So it was a great achievement for them. It was a great pride for the Mahar community. And as a result of this, Bhim's father arranged a facilitation function for Bhim. So in that facilitation function, Bhim's father invited Arjun Keluskar. He is a Marathi author and a teacher at Wilson High School. So both of them are invited as the chief guests. One is Arjun Keluskar, who is a Marathi author, and a teacher from Wilson's High School. So at that time, Wilson's High School was very famous. So that is why he invited him. So both were invited for the facilitation function of Bhim. And he presented Bhim with a biography of Buddha on the occasion. So he compared Bhim. Who compared Bhim? Bhim's father compared Bhim with a biography of Buddha on that occasion. So he kept on saying that so he was as much great as Buddha. So he compared Bhim's history with the biography of Buddha, and you can understand how great achievement it was. So that is how Bhim got facilitated by two chief guests. One is Marathi author Arjun Keluskar, and one of the famous teachers at Wilson's High School. And graduation of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. By 1912, he obtained his degree in economics and political science from Bombay University. They were shifted from Satara to Bombay, right? So he joined in Bombay University for his degree in the subject economics and political science. And he prepared to take up employment with the Baroda state government. So Baroda State University is very, very famous. It was the topmost university in that area. So he prepared to take up employment with the Baroda state government. His wife had just moved his young family. So Bhim was married at that time, and she moved their family and started work when he had to quickly return to Mumbai to see his ailing father, who died on 2nd Feb 1913. So at that time, unfortunately, Bhim's father was dead. So they had to come to Bombay to see him. So they planned to come to Mumbai for that, for taking care of his ailing father, but finally he expired. And in 1913, at the age of 22, Ambedkar was awarded a Baroda State Scholarship of 11.5 sterlings per month for continuously 3 years under a scheme established by Sayajirao Gaikwad III. So he is considered as Gaikwad of Baroda. So because of him, they used to give scholarship for the merit students. So one of them was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So he used to get 11.5 sterlings per month for continuously 3 years. And this scholarship was designed to provide opportunities for postgraduate education at Columbia University in New York City, so in foreign countries. So at that time itself, Bhim went to foreign country to pursue his post-graduation. You can think of this. So nowadays, many people do rarely post-graduation in foreign. Maybe some people will go for postdoc. Very few people will go for PhD. But you can assume at that time itself, in 1913, Bhim went to Columbia University in New York City for post-graduation with the Sayajirao Gaikwad Fellowship of 11.5 sterlings per month, which is given for 3 years to motivate the higher education for this kind of keen students. And post-graduation, how he pursued post-graduation in Columbia University, what are the situations he faced there. Soon after arriving there, he settled in rooms in Livingston Hall with Nawal Bhatina. He is a Parsi who was to be a lifelong friend. Means they have that much good bonding. He passed his MA exam in June 1915. The subjects were economics and other subjects of sociology, history, philosophy and anthropology. So all the subjects he was studied at that time itself. You can understand the growth of gender sensitization. So that is why his story is must to know for each and every person in the society as a part of gender sensitization. And Bhim presented a thesis, Ancient Indian Commerce. Ambedkar was influenced by John Dewey and his work on democracy. So that time he was influenced by democracy. And the main person for his interest in democracy was John Dewey. And in 1916, Bhim completed his second master's thesis. You can assume he did 2 postgraduates, not only 1 postgraduate. Nowadays, doing 1 PG itself difficult. But at that time itself, he did 2 post-graduation degrees. 2 master degrees. And National Dividend of India, a historic and analytical study for a second MA. So he has presented a thesis which is titled National Dividend of India, a historic and analytical study. So this is for his second MA master's degree. MA means Master of Arts, right? And on 9th May, he presented the paper Castes in India, their mechanism, genesis and development. So he tried to give awareness of castes in India, how they work, how they arrive, how they originate, and how they develop. And finally, he achieved to remove the feeling of untouchability also because of his broad mind, and because of after facing many problems wherever he go. So after great achievements, so after many pains, he got gains. And this paper he presented in a seminar conducted by the anthropologist Alexander Goldenweiser. So he did that much great achievements. And returned to London. Actually, what happened? In October 1916, he enrolled for the bar course at Gray's Inn, and at the same time, he enrolled at the London School of Economics, where he started working on a doctoral thesis. So after post-graduation, after 2 post-graduations, that time itself he is giving paper presentations, mini theses, all the things he was aware. So he was fully focusing on his PhD at that time itself. And for that purpose, what he did, so he enrolled at the London School of Economics, where he started working on doctoral thesis. And in June 1917, he returned to India because his scholarship from Baroda ended. He has 3-year scholarship now, so that was ended by that time. So he should return to India. And his book collection was dispatched on a different ship from the one he was on. So because he used to buy a lot of books, so his collection was on a different ship because the ship has no space for his books. So he is traveling in one ship and his books are dispatched on another ship. And unfortunately, that ship was torpedoed, and sunk by German submarine. So there was a German submarine coming opposite to that. So there was an attack by that, and that ship was sunk in the sea. And he got permission to return to London to submit his thesis within 4 years. So because of that incident, he got permission to return to London. So this was also a good incident for him. And he returned at the first opportunity itself and completed his master's degree in 1921. And his thesis was on the problem of the rupee, its origin and solution. So he worked on cash problem and he worked on money problem. Both the things he sorted out. In 1923, he completed DSc in economics. DSc means it is more than PhD. Doctor of Science. PhD means Doctor of Philosophy. DSc means Doctor of Science. In economics he did, which was awarded from University of London itself. And the same year he was called to the bar by Gray's Inn as a lawyer because he did barrister course also. So Ambedkar received his PhD degree in economics at Columbia in 1927. So in 27 he received PhD degree. As Ambedkar was educated by the princely state of Baroda, he was bound to serve it because of ethics, since princely state of Baroda has provided him scholarship, so he was bound to serve it, and that was according to ethics. He was appointed military secretary to the Gaikwad, but had to quit in a short time. So because of serving purpose, he was appointed as a military secretary to the Gaikwad, and due to the reasons, some important reasons, he had to quit it in a short time. And he described this incident in his biography, autobiography, Waiting for Visa. So in that autobiography, he has described all these incidents. And self-employment of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So thereafter, after completing PhD and DSc, he tried to find ways to make a living for his growing family. He worked as a private tutor, an accountant, and established an investment consulting business, but it failed. When his clients learned that he was an untouchable, there also he faced untouchability issue. So his clients knew that he was untouchable, so his business was failed. Which business? So it is bar related business. It is related to his barrister course. And in 1918, he became the professor of political economy in the Sydenham College of Commerce and Economics in Mumbai. So in 1918, he finally became the professor of political economy in Sydenham College of Commerce and Economics, which is in Mumbai. So although he was successful with the students, but unfortunately other professors objected to his sharing a drinking water jug with them. So, but still at that time, other colleagues, other professors were still bound to untouchability. So, after going through all these higher educations also, he faced untouchability issue. So, finally, he wrote the Constitution of India. And everybody in India is following the constitution given by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So one must know the achievements and how he faced problems and how he arrived to write the Constitution of India. So this is his great achievement. So everybody must be aware of this. So the conclusion is, if any gender, irrespective of gender, whether he is man or woman, so if he works hard and if he works smart, dedicatively, he can achieve anything. So these are the references I followed: Gender Studies by Kadambari and Gender Sensitization by Rajya Lakshmi Kalyan. Thank you very much for your patience.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.